talking about how they are sick of women in America and how they're going to get their passports and go overseas and find them a wife. When the truth of the matter is, you don't want a wife. You want a slave. You want a maid. You want a personal assistant. These women are in dire financial need. And it sickens me that you get online and vocalize and brag about getting your passports and going to these countries with these to get a wife who needs a green card to escape extreme poverty. Whether you pay her family, whether you pay her, no matter what the circumstance is, she is in a dire situation. How dare you capitalize off of the fact that this woman just wants to live and thrive financially?
The only thing that I'm concerned with at this point is seeing more men in general be happy. You see, when men are happy, society flows a hell of a lot smoother. After all, it's the men doing the majority of the difficult, dangerous, and dirty jobs. Understand something. One of the reasons why men have such a short lifespan is because men pour everything they have to into their relationships and their households. And usually that means that they are doing a dangerous, difficult, or dirty job in order to make ends meet for that family. A real man is out there working and doing something difficult, dirty, or dangerous. Now, there are blue-collar workers, there are white-collar workers, but the point is a man has to make sure he brings home the bacon one way or another. Some men are not blessed with being highly intelligent, and they're forced to work with their hands. Some men are blessed with the ability to think creatively and to be highly effective at whatever they do. There are a lot of men who are on the low end, and just because they're digging ditches, just because they're building tunnels or whatever, building bridges, that doesn't mean that they're low-value men. That actually means that they're getting to the same point, they're just doing it in a different way. A man's work is very, very, very important because it's men who build this society, it's men who hold up the most dangerous, difficult, and dirty elements of this society. So I like seeing men being happy. Being a black man, I especially love seeing black men being happy. 90 Day Fiancé is a really good show for you to watch, specifically for the topic which I'm about to cover, the K-1 visa process. It occurred to me that while I'm responding to most of these strags who are making these ridiculous videos, these angry, hateful videos, it occurred to me that I haven't seen anyone, especially who supports Passport Bros, I haven't seen anyone actually make a video to specifically tell men about the K-1 visa process. The K-1 visa process is otherwise known as the 90-day fiancé visa. So basically, the way it works is, let's say you're an American man. Let's say you've traveled overseas and you met a woman. And you met her and you want to marry her and you want her to come live with you in America. Well, what you have to do is you have to apply for the 90-day fiancé visa. It's called the K-1 visa. Now, in the last picture, you see Mark and Nikki got theirs. Mark got his. He is 58. I think she was 19 at the time. By now, she's like 24, 25, because this was a few years ago. And in this picture, you see Annie and Robert. And this is just an example of a black man who went down to Dominican Republic and found himself a wife. Kind of like my uncle. I'm very happy to report that my uncle and his Dominican wife have been married since 2011. They have 3 lovely kids, very healthy. They are involved in their activities. They live very wealthy and rich. And when I say wealthy and rich, they have a beautiful house. Some people might look at it and say, wow, this looks like a mansion. It's not as big as a typical mansion. I had a grandfather who actually had a mansion in another state. And that place was like the size of 3 houses. However, it's the best you could possibly get in this portion of New York. Not far from the city, right next to Long Island Railway access. So they're doing pretty good. She works, she provides, he gets his pension, he provides, and those kids don't know any want. Anything they want, they get. They got tablets, they got the iPad, they got the Samsung Galaxy this, they got toys, they've got their activities, the dance and gymnastics for little children, because these are not older children yet. The point of the matter is, the thing that matters to me is happiness, and that's the reason why I'm making this video. So I want to talk from a little bit about my personal understandings, and maybe talk a little bit about different countries and how they handle it. But I really do, before you even watch this video, I do recommend that you do watch 90 Day Fiancé shows. Granted, the couples that they've picked are usually terrible couples that have lots and lots of drama. The reason why they do that is to keep the show exciting. TLC has no shame whatsoever. They got a show 600-Pound Life, My 600-Pound Life, 600-Pound Sisters. They'll do whatever it takes to keep you watching. But I'm making this video to be informative. I'm not going to make this a very long video. I just want to get the key points out of the way. Now, there are different ways to go about the K-1 visa process. There are some people who choose to get themselves a lawyer, and the lawyer basically just tells you all you have to hand him as far as documentation goes. The lawyer files it, doing the shortcuts, and the lawyer pretty much gets it achieved. So let's see. First of all, what is a K-1 visa? Because I want people to understand these terms. See, it's one thing for all these strags to be making all this innuendo and saying all these things and causing rumors, but it's another thing to actually know the law and to know the facts. So first of all, if you are an American citizen, well, okay, let's just read it. A K-1 visa, also called a fiancé visa, and in this case, I call it the 90-day fiancé visa because, okay, allows the engaged partner of a U.S. citizen to enter the United States as long as the couple gets married no more than 90 days later. Very simply put, if you go overseas, you meet somebody, and you file the petition for this K-1 visa, they give that person a 90-day entry visa, and that person comes from their country to this country, America, and when they get here, you have, from the moment they basically land, and from the moment that visa is activated at the airport, they have up to 90 days to marry you. That is roughly, 3 months, give or take. So that 90-day fiancé visa makes it so that you are responsible for this person while they're in America. But if you are absolutely serious about going ahead and marrying this person, you have exactly 90 days. And as long as you get married in that 90 days, it doesn't matter how you do it. You can take it to the justice of the peace, to a little court and whatever, or you could, have a big ceremony. It doesn't really matter. It really doesn't matter. Either way, they have up to 90 days to get married in this country. So what does it say? There's a way to check your eligibility to find out if you are able to qualify, usually as long as you have a clean record, no criminal history, or as long as your criminal history is limited to misdemeanors and stuff. Even if you have felonies, it doesn't matter. You have a right, understand this, you have a right as an American citizen to marry whoever wants to marry you, period. That's it. So it says the correct terminology is a fiancé for a woman who is engaged to be married, or fiancé for a man. I bet you didn't know that before. 2 E's signifies a woman, and 1 E signifies a man. How about that? You learned something when you listen to me. Every single video I make is like class in session. It says for simplicity, we use fiancé to mean either male or female. Basically, it's because you don't remember the difference, so most people don't do it that way. Is the K-1 visa right for me? Bottom line is this. Now, you can read this all yourself, but the bottom line is this. If you find somebody overseas that you want to marry, then yes, the K-1 visa is probably right for you. The only exception would be if you actually married that person in their country. If you marry a person in their country, you wouldn't be applying for a fiancé visa. You would be applying for a spouse adjustment visa. So if you're already married to this person, let's say I fly from here, I go to the Philippines, I meet a Filipina, I want to marry her in the Philippines, we get married, and then I decide that I want to file the petition to bring her back to America, which all of these strags are telling you not to do. Well, the bottom line is you're going to need the spousal adjustment visa, which is another document which we're not concerned with right now. Right now, I'm concerned with people who meet somebody in another country and want them to come and join them in this country. So It says, what is the timeline? So they give you a very specific timeline. They say it's going to take about 6 months. Now, I will tell you this, because of the leftovers of the Trump administration issues that we had with COVID and the slowdown that happened during the COVID pandemic, 6 months is actually, I'm going to say 6 months may be that may be optimistic. I would really estimate that as long as all of your paperwork is perfect, and as long as everything is right, and as long as payments, everything's made on time, I would really say you're going to take about a year to do this. Now, in the worst case scenarios, it can take up to 2 years. Now, that's a really bad case scenario. But 1 year is about what you're expecting. 6 months, optimistic. If it happens in 6 months or less, cool. That's even better. It's paperwork. It really shouldn't take this long. And considering the rate that this country is letting illegal immigrants in here and driving them in buses up to Vice President Kamala Harris's house, it really shouldn't take more than 6 months. It should take like 2. Because, I mean, if you've got people who are literally filing for immigration status change and they're paying money, it seems to me that they should get prioritized over people who are just sneaking in and being bussed around on Greyhound. Anyway, the K-1 cost. Now, I will tell you like this. The entire process, I estimate, could cost you as much as $5,000, and that's including the airfare to get her here and including the money it might cost to bring her things with her. Because as you know, the airlines only allow you to carry but so much. So they're saying the total cost for a K-1 visa is roughly $1,000. Then they give you a breakdown of K-1 visa costs. It says the government's required fee is $535. An applicant may pay with a money order, cash check, or personal check. I'm going to just skip through this. A lot of this is unimportant for me to read. You can find it out yourself. But then it says medical exam. You have to do a medical exam. $200 is about what it costs to do a medical exam. In some other countries, it may be cheaper, but the bottom line is there has to be a medical exam done using their form I-129F. Next, there's a fee for the actual K-1 visa application, $265. This fee is usually paid at the interview, but it's important to review specific instructions regarding time and place of payment, including in the embassy's interview notice, which can vary by home country. These fees do not reflect additional costs such as translations, photocopying of documents, and obtaining required documents such as your birth certificate. So, here's the issue. Let's say you're talking about a bride from the Philippines or Thailand. Now, I would put money on the fact that in Thailand, chances are this woman that you meet, she's probably got all of her documents together and she has every single requirement. She can get her hands on them easier than I would say a Filipina can. In the Dominican Republic, I would also argue that chances are she's a working woman. Chances are she has access to her documents. So it won't take very much for her to get access to the documents, make photocopies, and be able to submit them. The problem is in some countries, especially the Philippines, getting access to some of these documents can be a problem. Some of these females, especially if you decide to get a younger wife, like 19, 18, 20 or something like that, if she hasn't really been working yet, you may have a problem with her getting her local IDs. Now, if she already has a government ID, she's fine. And if she already has access to a birth certificate, she's fine. But if you're going to a country that's underdeveloped or developing, I should say, it may be a little bit of a challenge getting your hands on all these documents. But we'll worry about that later. So, bottom line is, they estimate it's going to cost $1,000. Now, when the government says $1,000, and then you have to factor in the flight costs and her transition from her country to here, I would say that you should estimate that this is going to cost you anywhere between $2,500 and $5,000. No more than $5,000. I would estimate that you're really expecting to pay somewhere up to and including $2,500. But if you're the person who has any issues and stuff, or if you have a lot of documents to procure, or you want to hire a lawyer, then yeah, you might expect to pay close to $5,000. But it would definitely be, on average, it's about $2,500, including her flight to get to this country. How many of you have $2,500 for your own happiness? I'll tell you like this. My first Desert Eagle cost me $2,700 with tax. And that was just a pistol. Now, my first AR-15, that was, what, $2,300 or something like that? And listen, if I need $2,500 for my happiness so that I can have a lovely, beautiful wife here to cook and clean for me and here to go places and walk around, and we go to, see, here's the thing. What did Chris Rock say? He says, you don't want to be the old man at the club. You know there's always an old man at the club. He's not too old. He's just a little too old for the club. That's not what you want. You want to eventually have a wife that you love and everything, and everybody's happy and this, that, and other. You have children and a family. You don't want to be looking over your back worried about divorce and everything. So you want to get a nice, loving wife from a country that respects marriage, respects the institution of marriage, unlike here, where women are basically told by these pathetic liberal feminists, like the one that I was arguing with the other day, that marriage is slavery for women. In fact, what's funny is when I watched her channel, I realized she was a truck driver. Any woman who's a truck driver is so deep in masculinity and trying to be masculine in competition with masculinity. That's absolutely somebody who would absolutely carry those angry feminist values that I'm talking about. So the simple fact is you want to be happy. Forget what they say. They are unimportant. Their opinion is worthless. What you need to do is you need to do what you have to do to be happy. You find that $2,500. I don't care if you got to take your tax return. You get that $2,500. I know you can do it. You can get $2,500. I don't care if you got to go pick up cans and save up $2,500. Your happiness is worth it. Now, as far as eligibility, they have a couple of specific requirements. They say the sponsoring partner must be a U.S. citizen. So that means if I'm the person who's petitioning, I have to obviously be a U.S. citizen. U.S. green card holders, permanent residents are not eligible. You have to be a citizen. Okay? Both partners must be eligible to marry. So that means one of the problems is in some of these other countries, you may have women who've been married before. Then you have to request what's called a CENOMAR. It's CENOMAR. That means a certificate of marriage. So it can tell you that this person has never been married, or if this person was previously married. If this person had a marriage, let's say they were divorced or separated, you have to get a CENOMAR to prove that this person is no longer married, and therefore they are eligible to get married. So they have to prove that they are eligible to get married. Any prior divorce decrees, annulments, or death certificates must be provided to show that previous marriages have been terminated. It's very simple. Even in this country, you can't get married if you're already married. You can't marry somebody else. You can only allow one marriage per person. It's very simple. K-1 visas are available to same-sex partners. That's something new. Regardless of whether the laws in the sponsored fiance's home country allow for same-sex marriage. So if you're listening to the sound of my voice and you're a gay man or a gay woman, you can get married to somebody from another country, even if they're the same sex as you. How about that? Wherein you could never do it in their country. See, these angry strags, they think that every other country is poor except for America. That's what they think. They think every other woman is poor except for American women. They think that those women over there have no rights whatsoever and they can't do anything and they're poor and they're lower class and they're working in a Nike sneaker factory making Air Jordans for 5 cents that are going to be sold for $1,000. That's what they think, because this is the bullshit that they've heard in these stupid liberal feminist colleges and universities, which have done nothing but drive up their personal debt to the point where they're begging Joe Biden to cancel debt that they'll never be able to pay off. They're in these schools for these worthless degrees. They are doing their best to compete to get multiple degrees that are virtually worthless. They've been hearing this all throughout school. They've been hearing about social justice and equity. They've been hearing this nonsense all of this time. And there's nobody to stop that professor and say, excuse me, we're not equal. Excuse me, there is no equity among countries. You are falling under supply and demand. Capitalism is the truth. What you're preaching here, egalitarianism, is not. But they don't want to hear that. They damn sure don't want to hear that. They want to make sure that these women sign up for these bullshit degrees, that they're putting $30,000, $40,000 down a year in debt on a credit card, on Navient, on Sallie Mae. They want to make sure that they feather their retirement nests. But I don't want to divert too much because these degrees are worthless and they preach this nonsense there. When you go to these other countries, the middle class females there, those women understand that they have to work. And if they don't want to work, then they better damn sure do something to find themselves a situation that allows it so they don't have to work. And not all of them have to get a man. Some of them are young and beautiful and they can become entertainers. Some of them are movie stars in their own country. And they're rich because they do things that place them in high demand, or at least what people want to see from them in high demand. These women in America, just like that white woman I showed you, the intersectional feminist nonsense, they believe all these other women are poor, which is why I had to put that video up to show that Arab woman completely refuting every nonsense, stupid thing that she was saying. A lot of these women ain't poor. A lot of these women are, yes, they may be in a developing country. A lot of these women ain't poor. When I was in the Philippines, I was dating a hotel manager. She was a woman, a hotel manager. She wasn't poor. But see, they don't want to accept that. They can't accept that because they know that what you're about to do is you're about to take your resources as a man and you're going to improve this female's life. This female in another country who may have always dreamed of being able to go to America, who may have always dreamed of being able to work in America, who maybe dreamed. Some of these women want a foreign man just because they want a foreign man. Some of these women have it in their mind that they want a tall, dark man from America. Some of these women want to have children by an American man, whether they're married or not. Whether they get child support or not, some of these women want to have their children and want to get married with, sometimes it's an American man, sometimes it might be a man from Germany, whatever. As I showed you in another video, you got some of these European countries, they were trying to stop Thai women from marrying their men because the men got fed up with the feminism there. In these other countries, this is in all of these Western European countries. Just take a look at them. Would you see these Western European countries with low birth rates, populations dying, just like Sardinia? Well, there's a reason for that. It's because the men have chosen to go their own way and divest. And yeah, the strags can get on, oh yeah, we don't care, just go and take all the rest of the passport bros with you. Yeah, they could say that. The reality is, no. We have stakes here, we have property here, we have money here, we have jobs here. No. What we're going to do is we're going to go find our happiness. And we're going to bring our happiness right back here if we want, or we're going to move overseas and we're going to live there and we're going to finance our happiness one way or another. $2,500 is all it takes. Now, if you want to move over there, it may take you, you're going to have a pension if you're retired, or maybe you're an expatriate and you're working over there. Either way, we're going to get our happiness no matter how it happens. We don't care. We're going to do it one way or another. And I think the saddest thing about it, before I go back to this article, if the women here weren't what they are, the women overseas would never stand a chance, because no man really wants to spend the money to travel and find a wife. But it is what it is. So the legitimacy of the relationship must be proved. So with evidence such as photograph, flight itineraries, and or hotel reservations. Basically, when it really comes down to it, as long as you can prove that you've spent time with this person, like let's say you travel to the country one time and you spend months there, Or let's say you travel to this country multiple times and you have lots and lots of photos. They want to see photos. They may investigate you and search through your social media to make sure that you're who you say you are. Because the thing about it is some people have social media accounts with contradictory information. They may say, yeah, I met this person, I want to get married. But then they go to your social media account, they find out you got a girlfriend here. So these investigators, they do a light comb through of your person. A light comb through, because the reality is, as long as you're spending the money, for the most part, they're not going to get too far into it because they really don't care. It's just their job to investigate, and it's their job to make it known that it's on the up and up, because what they want to do is they want to avoid the possibility of human trafficking. So anyway, the couple must be able to prove that they have met in person at least once within the 2 years prior to filing. This is actually relatively easy. Let's say you go down to, I don't know, Brazil. Let's say that you spent just a little bit of time with this woman. Let's say you spent a month. Hold on one second. Let's say you spent a month with her. If you spent a month with her, that's more than enough. You've got plenty of photos, maybe even video clips, and you can forward all of that to whoever's investigating your case. This is one of the reasons why some people get lawyers, and lawyers filing this paperwork are able to make the case for you. But the bottom line is the photographs, social media, flight itineraries, though, it's very difficult to actually prove a relationship. But they are forced by law to tell you up front, okay, we want to see photos. We just want to basically see proof that you're with this person. So the bottom line is, I would say, just to be safe, if you can rack together, let's say about 100 photos with this person, which is pretty easy when you really think about it. Let's say y'all travel together, y'all take 10 photos together per day, and you're together for like a month. 10 photos per day in a month. It's going to give you about 300 photos, maybe less, maybe more. But the bottom line is you can take video too, forward that to the person who's investigating you, and you're golden. Each partner must provide a signed statement indicating an intent to marry within 90 days of the sponsored fiancé's arrival in the United States. If concrete wedding plans have been made, it's also a good idea to submit evidence such as wedding invitations, receipts of deposits on a venue, etc. Okay, so they're basically just saying, okay, just show us you're serious for the most part, right? It's not that difficult. The U.S. citizen fiancé must meet certain income requirements. Now, I will tell you right now, they want to basically make sure that you can support this person. If your income, and see, the funny thing about it is the foreigners who live in America who do this process in order to bring wives from other countries, because they know damn sure they don't want to marry what's here. But when you have foreigners living in this country, the government has to make it possible for it to be something affordable. So the income requirement I last saw was about $50,000 US. Now, I am blessed. God has blessed me. I make around $200,000 US. So the beautiful thing about it is they can look at my salary and say, okay, yeah, well, he can definitely support her and himself. That's not a problem. Now, I will be perfectly honest, $50,000 is kind of low. However, $50,000 is the threshold for the most part. Now, if you look right here, it says income requirements for a marriage green card. Yes, as you can see, the most common minimal annual income required to sponsor a spouse or family member for a green card is $22,887. Let's round up, $23,000. Now, I'm telling you, for the K-1 visa process, you want to be making about $50,000 US or more. If you're fortunate enough to be above $50,000, that's even better. What makes you even better for this process is if you already own a house, or if you have a condo or something like that, where you have stability in the US and you can prove stability. Now, if you really think about it, applying for any major loan or any major undertaking of investment, they're always going to ask to see your income. If you're applying for a house, they want to see your last 3 years worth of tax returns. So if I were you, I would have your last 3 to 5 years worth of tax returns digitally ready so that you can forward them to the investigator just to prove your income. Obviously, they have things on the form where they can check to find out how financially stable you are, but that is one of the main requirements. As you can see, that, for the most part, is the end of the list. That's the end of the list. That's it. The K-1 visa process is actually not as hard as you think it might be. The problem I think most people have is the wait. It can take, what did they say, 6 months? I'll tell you, like right now, when I got my passport renewed, just waiting up to 3 months was a pain in the freaking ass. However, I can say America is working on a new renewal process for passports where they can do it 100% on the internet, not by mail, which is something they should have done a long goddamn time ago. But I'll accept the fact that they're getting it done now. So that means in 10 years, when I have to renew my passport again, that means I'll be able to do it right on the computer or whatever we have at that time, because 10 years is a long time. Technology will evolve in 10 years. We're going to be up to like iPhone 24 in 10 years. Think about that. iPhone 24, that shit may be able to run the stock market for you. Like the iPhone 24 might be able to drive your car for you, and we already got advanced shit right now where we got cars that can drive themselves. We don't have flying cars, but who knows, man? The technology is going to be crazy in 10 years. And I'm going to be retired. That's the beautiful thing. How many of y'all could say right now, yeah, 10 years from now, I'm going to be retired. I'm going to have my pension. I'm going to be sitting on a beach in Bora Bora or Seychelles or Maldives, and I'm going to have some young wife serving me the buko juice. How many of y'all could say that? So this is what I'm talking about. You got to buy your happiness. You're happy. You know what this is saying? They say money can't buy happiness, but money can make a person more of the person that they truly are. It can allow that person to be more of the person they truly are. So that's just it. Those right there are the requirements. Now what I'm going to do is just read off a couple of tips. So 7 tips for getting your K-1 visa approved. Some of this stuff I probably already talked about. I'm just going to leave the links. You can read it at your own pace. And there are some services that can actually help you to do this entire thing themselves. Like they actually have lawyers that work there and whatever. There are some programs, and there are some, what's the word? There are some companies where they offer a K-1 visa service where they'll do all the stuff for you. All you got to do is just hand them the paperwork and they fill the whole thing out for you. Legal representation for the most part. So anyway, here are a couple of the tips, and then I'm done because I know you don't want to hear me talk too much. Gather sufficient evidence. That's obvious. It says the same things I said. Photographs, flight or hotel itineraries, testimonies that's written by friends and family that you all know each other and love each other. I'm sure you'll be able to get that from her family because they're anxious to see her actually married to you. Your family, however, some of the women in your family might not be so anxious to write this stuff up for you. Character references are very nice, especially if you have friends who know her. But for the most part, the number of K-1 visas being applied for, especially since 90 Day Fiancé hit television, has increased. The number of passports, especially since liberal feminism decided to ruin America, has increased. So the government is sitting back waiting for these things to come in. They already know they're coming. They got bins of them. That's why it takes so long to approve this stuff. Any correspondence between you and your partner. Text messages. Now, you may not want to have somebody reading through your text messages and your sext messages where you're sending nude photos back and forth of your private parts with her. Or y'all are on there with the FaceTime and y'all are doing, because I'll tell you like this, I'll be perfectly honest. Some of these chicks, what they do is because they want to keep you on the phone, they want to keep talking to you and everything. What they'll do is they set up their phone with that FaceTime thing and they take showers and you watching them take the whole shower and everything. And that's how they keep you on the hook. And, there's a lot of sex messaging going back and forth, which is fine because that's what a couple is supposed to do. It's like some people must forget the whole point of being a couple in the first place is reproduction. The basic biological urge of reproduction is all this is about. If it wasn't for reproduction and it wasn't for the need of sex, believe me, none of this would be happening because men would be taking that money and they'd be spending it on other things like crystal meth and, I don't know, gambling and drinking and stuff. But anyway, in addition to proving the actuality of the relationship, you also need to provide evidence showing that the sponsoring U.S. partner is a citizen, you are both eligible to marry, you have a real intent to marry within 90 days. So basically, you're signing a contract form, you're signing under penalty of perjury. Basically, you're saying, we are what we say we are, and we plan to get married. The sponsoring petitioner has an income equal to at least 100% of federal poverty guidelines. I am telling you right now, if you have $50,000 US or more, and you've been earning $50,000 US or more for at least, let's say, the last 3 years, and you can prove it using tax returns, you're fine. If you make 60, 70, 80, 90,000, it's even better. And that's all it takes. $50,000. Say it with me. $50,000. $50,000. Just say it with me. That's all you need to prove that you earn in a year to the government, and that's it. As far as the money required to do the process, once again, the magic number that you should be looking for of money in your pocket to get this thing done, $2,500 should be the about. Now, if you have more than $2,500, even better. $3,000 is better. $5,000 is where I like to be. Whenever you give me a number and you say it's going to cost you this much, I plan ahead to have twice that amount. Because as long as I have twice that amount, any bullshit that pops up, anything that comes along, I'm ready for it. And I'm not just talking about this, I'm talking about just about anything. So I end up overestimating the costs. And some people might not like the fact that I do that, but I'm telling you, if you can overestimate the costs, you're even better off and you're absolutely prepared. See, I'm the early bird. I get the worm. When I see the worm, I go swoop down, I kill that motherfucker, eat him. Early birds get the worm. All these late motherfuckers that show up late to everything and they show up unprepared and shit, they don't get the worm. I get the worm. You understand that? So when they say 25, I got 5,000. When they say 5,000, I got 10,000. That's how you do it. So nobody can stand in your way. Nobody. No excuses. If you tell me that the minimum credit score in order to get that, let's say I want to buy, I could buy another house, or let's say if they say the minimum credit score I need is 750, I got 850. What you gonna do about that? 850. This is a power struggle right here. We're not fucking playing no games. When I show up, have my shit ready for me to buy it. I'm not fucking with you. Let me tell you something. Cadillac calls me right now and says your Cadillac Lyric is ready to go. All you got to do is come in here right now. What time is it? 8:51. And they tell me, yeah, we're ready. And all you got to do is come in and bring 10,000 cash and just sign on the dotted line, or bring 70,000 cash and we can sell it to you right now. Cash, no loans, no nothing. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. And that's how you got to be. Early bird gets the motherfucking worm every goddamn time. I'd be sitting in traffic and shit. I could have woke up later. No. I'm going to wake up as early as I can just to beat these motherfuckers in traffic. I'm not playing. This is competition. This is Charles Darwin right here. So anyway, what was I saying? Prepare for the interview. Now, obviously, you're going to get interviewed. She's going to get interviewed. They're trying to obviously make sure that y'all really know each other and that she knows a little bit about you and everything. So, it's important that when you meet your beautiful foreign bride, and it's funny how they got this picture right here of these people holding hands. When you meet your lovely, beautiful foreign bride, y'all have to spend some time obviously talking about basic shit. Like, what kind of food do you like? Because she's going to be cooking, I guarantee you. See, these American women, they can barely make ramen noodles. But these foreign chicks, man, I tell my chick what I want to eat. Oh, man. She cooks her ass off. Sometimes she comes up with stuff I never even would have thought of. And slices the fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, and this, that, and other. But you got to tell her all your favorite stuff, favorite movies you watch movies together. And just understand, as long as she has a pretty good understanding of you, they're not going to ask, really crazy questions. But the thing about it is, there's only so much she's going to know about you. Because first of all, men don't talk like that. Men don't tell women everything. That's the whole thing. Men are not, it's like men don't really talk about feelings and shit. So, she's going to know some things about you. She's not going to know, like, what your greatest fear in fucking 7th grade or some shit was. She's not going to know none of that stuff. So all you got to do is run your mouth while you're with her, tell her everything about you that you can tell her, and let her be able to talk about you. Says it is very important that you prepare for this interview by gathering all the required documents and considering any potential questions that might arise. Again, if you're in a serious, well-intentioned relationship, you have nothing to worry about. The questions should be fairly straightforward for the most part. Keep in mind, they can't dig too deep because you have a right to privacy. Like, they're not going to ask, how big's his dick? Or, they're not going to ask stuff like this, like, what does her scooch smell like? They're not going to go that far. They're going to keep it simple. Okay, they might ask, for instance, about the sponsored fiance's previous marriages, nationality. Bottom line is, and I'd really appreciate if passport bros do this for me, don't mess with single moms at all, please. Please just don't. Don't mess with single moms, because when you're dealing with single moms, sometimes you're dealing with angry baby daddies and you're dealing with marriages that weren't properly annulled, or just listen, single moms, just leave them alone. Please just do that. And now I know there's been some success stories of some guys who get single moms because they just love them and they marry them and everything. But please just leave them alone. Just leave them alone, because all you're doing is you're setting yourself up for more issues. So it's better you go get the nicest, loveliest, youngest, prettiest, beautiful girl that you can find. Because some of you, I know you're in your 30s, some of you are 20s or whatever. So I'm not going to be ashamed of the language. As long as you're legal age, as long as she's legal age, that's all it takes. And you can apply for this thing. Just like the picture I just showed you of Mark and Nikki. There were some people who were attacking Mark. Oh, you're 58 and she's 19. You're a monster. But guess what? The law is the law. What did Judge Dredd say? He said, I am the law. You got to go by the laws, lady. If the law says that you're able to sign these documents and marry at 18, then that's the number. That's what it is. As an American citizen, also it's important to remember, when you go overseas, you should not obviously be dating or messing with anybody who's under 18. 18 is the best number you can aim for, or better. But the bottom line is, it's the law. Follow the law. That's all you got to do. Follow the law. So listen to me when I say this. Obey the law. Do it legally. Do it according to the law. And you're fine. That's it. So the strags can, he's a, what did this one just say? Oh, you're a predator and you're a monster. Well, guess what? Ladies? Guess what? You see this law over here, this document, this law book? The law book says I am obeying the law. The U.S. law, the U.S. Justice Department has given me these laws. So when Mark was 58, Nikki was, 19? He could say, yes, well, the Justice Department under Eric Holder said this. Who are you? Your opinion don't count. Who are you? Who are you to interfere with God's divine plan? See, I wish that you could speak with my voice when these pathetic strags try to challenge you. I wish you could speak with my voice. You should see how I deal with people like that. I wish I knew when they were coming, because I'd record it all. You'd love it. It's fucking hilarious. Who are you to interfere with God's divine plan? Who are you to interfere with U.S. law? And they got no leg to stand on. They can go right back to that classroom that's sucking up their money and driving up their debt and tell their professor, oh, yes, well, my neighbor Mark, he's 55 and he married a 19-year-old Filipino who's younger and prettier than me. I think you saw in my community chat, and I'll probably post another picture of it, or I'll do it right now. Landry Simmons Jr., a black man, running for something in Ohio. I think he's like running for mayor or some shit. I forget. But the bottom line is, He just celebrated his second anniversary to his lovely. In fact, you know what? I'm going to pull up that photo. Give me a second. Hold on. I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. Stay flexible. So it says, given the uncertainty surrounding the application timeline, it may take longer than you expect. I would say plan a simple wedding. Now, realistically, the best possible thing you could do is you could marry her outside of this country. If you marry outside of this country, like let's say you have a wedding in the Philippines, that wedding is going to cost you no more than about $2,000. And that's for a nice wedding with a nice reception and like a nice catering hall, a really nice. It's going to cost you about $2,000. The average person in that country only makes less than $10,000 a year. The average person. Most of them make less than $7,000 a year. So a $2,000 wedding, you're already ahead of the game. Dominican Republic, you're talking about maybe $5,000, $6,000 tops. Not this bullshit you get with these bridezillas in America. $30,000, $20,000. What? $50,000 weddings? You're out of your mind. And then you get divorced a couple of years later from these bridezillas here. Please. Please. No. No, thank you. So anyway, where are we? Triple check your finances. As mentioned above, the sponsoring partner will need to show that they make at least 100%. And listen, I'm going to say it again. Look at this. It says, as of 2021, a household of two people must make a minimum of $17,420 a year. If you don't earn a sufficient income, a joint financial sponsor may submit an affidavit of support. Now, understand this. I'm telling you, you want to aim for $50,000. If you're making less than $50,000, then depending on where you live, there may be certain, just like they're saying here, there may be certain exceptions made. Because if you live in a place, let's say your house is paid off. Let's say you make only $20,000. Your house is paid off. So that means the bulk of your money that's coming in is not going to paying a mortgage. And let's say you have a cheap piece of shit car, like let's say a Nissan Altima. Well, then you're okay because you're only paying like, what, $500 a month or something? Let's say in a year you're only making $35,000. You're fine. But that's assuming that your debt-to-income ratio is low. My bottom line is you should be making at least $50,000 a year before you think about sponsoring somebody from outside this country to come here. That's just what I'm saying, and they'll probably throw that number at you as well. Okay, monitor your social media output. In the age of digital surveillance, blah, 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 what they're basically saying is sometimes these investigators will look at your social media and what they see on that does not reflect what you're telling them. That's a red flag. That's a problem. That could also be true for her. They might look at her social media and she might have her boyfriend or husband on there. They'd be like, wait a minute, who the fuck is this? I thought you were marrying this guy Mark right here. No. Social media, it's important. Like what I do is I have fake social medias because the thing about it is if anybody tries to look me up on LinkedIn, they ain't going to find shit. They're going to find a picture of my hand. I try to make my social medias as fake as possible. I don't put my real name on there. I do have a personal work social media, but the bottom line is I don't give these motherfuckers my real name. I don't give them my real social media. I have fucking plenty of what are those things, pseudonyms that I use. I don't want these bastards knowing my last name. I want them to think they know my last name, but I don't want them knowing my last name. I don't want them knowing my first name. I don't want them knowing how my first name is spelled. I don't want them knowing shit. So when I finally do have to show them something, I'll say, oh yeah, right here. Look at this social media that you didn't know I had that's not public knowledge. That's how I do it. And I take it to a step further. I make it so I'm not listed. I don't want to be in no yellow pages. I don't want to be in no white pages. I don't want none of that shit. I don't want these bastards knowing nothing. There's a lot of doxers online. There's a lot of people who are scammers. I keep my shit so fake until when they call me up right away, I know that they're bullshitting because they're using a fake name. So that's how I do things. Last thing, fill out all necessary forms. Well, that should have been number one because that's the most obvious thing. You have to fill out all necessary forms. So that's basically all I had to say. I believe, honestly, that especially, like, let's say you make $100,000 a year. For you, marrying this chick overseas in her country, having children with her in her country and letting them go to school there is your best bet. because they'll probably do better there and learn more there than they'll learn here in America, because American schools are a joke at this point. As you know, the Chinese government, for example, has done things to make sure their kids are learning. They turn off social media at certain hours. On weekends, they force these kids not to be playing video games that whole weekend. They turn off the internet. They cut off Google. Like, the Chinese government cares about its citizens. Most of these other governments, they block certain websites and stuff. Chinese government is making sure that their kids are competitive. So what I'm basically telling you is that marrying her in her country, having your kids in her country, is probably the best and healthiest option. However, if you're like me and you have a business here and you have your houses here and everything, the only logical thing to do is, like, let's say you want to live overseas, is to rent your houses through a company that's going to manage the properties and then just send you the money. That's one way to do it. But see, I'm not going to give up my U.S. citizenship. Some people actually do that. Some countries demand that you do that. I'm not doing that. So when they say, oh, yeah, well, just don't bring her back here. No. You can have your family overseas and you can live overseas and you can bring them back here when you're good and ready. And there's nothing wrong with bringing her back here, because even if feminism changes her, by that time she's already had your kids and there's not too many places she's going to go. Like, most women aren't going to abandon their kids and their family, because you got to understand, most of the women who move here, the reason why they want that green card is because they're going to work and they're going to send money back home. In some cases, their parents' retirement plan is to have these kids. And when they grow up, those kids are going to take care of them in their old age. Now, I know that there are some relationships that, where the people have plenty of money and they fly back and forth to countries. They maybe even own property in the other country. I am not interested in building anything in any other country. I'm not interested in building anything for myself. I know that I can't own land in these other countries, which is unlike America, where they let anybody come here and just buy up land. And then you're trying to figure out why your housing market is fucked up. And it's because those people can come here and own land. You can't go to their country and own land. You have to own land through one of them. So that means that you got to marry one of them just to have access to land in their country. I'm not putting nothing in nobody else's name. Everything that's mine is mine, period. It's just mine. Now, if I have joint property, like if she and I get together, this is the way you should think about it. If you and her get together and her name goes on it and your name goes on it, always understand that relationship, you hope it lasts forever. But if it doesn't, she's going to just take that and she's going to do whatever she's going to do with it. So my issue is, you'll never see a situation where the fucking cops come here and be like, oh, well, her name's the one on everything, so yeah, you got to leave. It's like, fuck that. My name's on everything. My name's on both my houses. My name's on my cars. My name's on my insurance. My name's on everything, even my balls. So the bottom line is, those ain't going nowhere, and I ain't going nowhere. You have to maintain a level of ownership. Do not co-sign for shit. Anything you buy in cash. Don't put your credit on the risk ever. Just don't do it. Don't do it. Don't co-sign for a motherfucking thing. I got an 850 credit score, and I'm going to die with an 850 credit score. I'm going to make sure I keep that till the end times. Don't put that at risk ever, because I've seen it happen too many times. No, I know a woman married, her husband's credit wasn't shit, and she was trying to get people to help her co-sign for stuff, and then she defaulted and was late on loans and shit, defaulted on loan. That shit fucked her credit up. And that was happening right around the time that interest rates were going up, right around the time that prices on everything were going up. So she wants to go, she could try to go to Mercedes, try to go to BMW, buy a car. They were like, now with this credit score, get the fuck out. And that's how it went. Don't ever put your credit on the risk for anybody. It doesn't matter where they're from. And basically, if you follow these rules, you should be just fine. So I think I am done. If you have specific questions about the K-1 visa process, you can ask them. I actually have friends who've recently married women from overseas and actually brought them back here to U.S. soil. And if you have specific questions, we could even start like a question group or some shit, because I can get answers for certain questions that are difficult very easily. But as far as these strikes go, it's like, guess what, ladies? You had your chance and you blew it. And that's it. And the last thing I will say before I go, is I love to celebrate black men who I see doing big things. Landry Simmons Jr. is running for Ohio State Senate. And I hope that if you live there, you'll support him. I believe he has Republican politics. And you should look into his platform, obviously, but I hope you'll support him. He is celebrating 2 years anniversary being married to his beautiful Filipina bride. Landry is around 55 to 56 years old, and I believe she's about 27 or 28. And I'm very certain that she'll provide him with a lovely family, a long-lasting and caring marriage, and I am very happy to say that I can support him and very happy to let you know who he is, to introduce you to him so that you too can support him if you live in Ohio. And always remember, your happiness is only $2,500 and a $50,000 annual fee away, or annual salary away. And all you got to do is take your happiness into your own hands, and you too can be as happy as you see this black man right here. Because the simple fact is, we black men have to look out for ourselves. We have to make sure that our happiness comes first, because if you don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody congratulates him on his run for the Senate. Hopefully he wins, and congratulate him on his 2-year anniversary to his beautiful Filipino wife. Why am I doing this? Because the next time one of them tries to say that these black men are broke and that they're pretending to be Chris Brown and that the women overseas don't want us high-value earning men, the last thing I want you to think in your mind is Landry Simmons Jr. when you reply, oh, excuse me, Landry Simmons Jr. is running for U.S. Ohio office. He ain't broke. He ain't Chris Brown pretending to be Chris Brown, and you don't know what you're talking about. I have to give you the words and the knowledge to fight back. I have to train you. There are others on here who can train you how to speak back, how to talk back, and how to defend. But the reality is, Passport Bros are winning. We are winning so much that eventually we're going to get tired of winning because we're winning so much. And that is all.
And then you called it a marriage. That's not marriage. It's modern day slavery, and I think that it's sick. I think that it's disgusting, and all you're really doing is sifting yourself from the real divine masculines and alpha males. Because when they walk in the room, we know it. You know why? Because we feel safe. And we're not safe with you. And we know it, and that's why we're disrespectful to you. That's why we don't like you, and that's why we don't give a damn that you're going to another country to find a wife. And while you're there, get the help you need to heal your inner child, because we know that you're unhealed, that you are narcissistic, and that you're a toxic person. So while you're spending your money on your new bride, be sure to get the help that you need to. We ain't mad. We don't want you. We see you. You're not a divine masculine. We ain't mad.